All right. Welcome to the lunch break here on KYOK. I am David Grubb filling in for AJ Jones as we get ready on Thanksgiving Eve to be with our families in a very different way this year. So, if you got some Thanksgiving things that you're doing, if you are how you're adjusting this year. If your traditions are going to change, let me know. You can also, I'd love to hear today people's favorite recipes, people's least favorite Thanksgiving items, which you can't stand to see on the table, and such. And also, hey, if you've got favorite Thanksgiving sports memories from games, whether it's Clint Longley for the Cowboys, or whether it's Barry Sanders running up for the Lions or something. If you got a favorite high school, if a lot of state places have high school games on Thursday, whatever your favorite Thanksgiving sports memories are, or athletes that you're thankful for, I'd love to hear those as well, and we can talk about that. Also, there's a lot of news going on in the world of sports. Valencia King will be joining me shortly, and we'll talk about that in the first hour. Like I said, the Texans will be facing the Detroit Lions tomorrow on Thanksgiving in Detroit. As a born and raised Detroit Lions fan, I certainly understand why people have asked for the Lions to not host anymore on Thanksgiving, since they don't do very well these last 2 decades on that holiday. But I'm also big on the tradition of it because it did start in Detroit. And so I love that for the city. It's one of the few times when they do get to have a national spotlight on the team. It's just that you hope between the Texans and the Lions, two teams that are underachievers this season, or depending on your perspective on what you thought coming into the season, they might be right where you think they're supposed to be. I wonder what kind of game that's going to be, and we'll see. We'll absolutely talk about that and break that matchup down. Matthew Stafford will be back for the Lions, so that changes the quarterback battle. He's coming off an injured thumb, so that will be a big difference there. But we'll get into that. The first thing, I don't know how many of you are soccer fans, how many of you follow the world of soccer, but just about an hour ago, it was announced that Argentina's Diego Maradona has died at the age of 60 following a heart attack. If you are not familiar with Diego Maradona, he is considered one of the 4 or 5 greatest soccer players of all time, along with Pele, along with Lionel Messi, who is also from Argentina, along with Cristiano Ronaldo, those types of players. And Maradona is one of the most controversial figures in the history of international soccer. You had Argentina's only World Cup came in 1986 when they won the World Cup off of what is known as the hand of God, where Maradona quite literally punched the ball in the air into the goal, and it was not called against England. And that controversy followed him throughout his career, but they did win the World Cup. And now, hey, there's Valencia King, and let's welcome her to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. We're getting so close to Thanksgiving. Are you already beginning your preparations for tomorrow?
No, my grandmother is cooking and my aunt is cooking, and I think my parents might be making a side or two, but I just have to show up with an appetite.
We have a very small Thanksgiving this year because it's just me, my wife, my daughter, and my mother-in-law. So we got a fried turkey from a friend who's cooking up a bunch of fried turkeys, and then we're gonna do sides. I have to ask you though.
Okay.
And I'm asking folks too, the viewers too, and the listeners, what absolutely does not belong on your Thanksgiving table? There's always something that people, if you see it, that you say, no, this has to go. This ain't right. If somebody brings it in the house, what's that for you?
So for me, it's cranberry sauce. I never rocked with it. I didn't see the purpose. I'm not mad at you guys that like cranberry sauce, more for you because I don't want any at all. It just kind of got in the way. It has its own little taste, and it just didn't blend with everything else on my plate. Like, if you get mac and cheese with the yams and the greens, or if you might have some baked beans, all those kind of blend good together. Especially when you have some potato salad in the mix, it just blends in together. They complement the other, but cranberry sauce I can do without. It's just, I don't even like cranberry juice, so maybe that's why.
And which is worse amongst the cranberry? Is it the sauce or the jelly? Which I really hate, because the jelly, you slide it out of the can in one big roll, and then you're sitting there slicing.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking about the jelly then. I only call it one thing, cranberry sauce.
Because the sauce is you get the cranberries mixed with some sauce, and it's like a puree almost, but chunkier. And so there's that and the jelly, which the jelly just really freaks me out.
Yeah, then I'm referring to anything cranberry I don't really rock with, but I'm even pacifically talking about the canned cranberry sauce, when you just gotta like do it out the jar or the back of your head like that.
There was a clip on, and I sent this to AJ yesterday. There was a clip on Twitter about an aunt who went to a house last year for Thanksgiving, and somebody experimented with the mac and cheese and used cream cheese in the mac and cheese.
No.
The mac and cheese is a cornerstone. That's a foundational item for Thanksgiving. I am not about breadcrumbs. I ain't about that life. I ain't about you adding nothing. The only ingredients are macaroni, cream, and as many cheeses. Like, we use 5 cheeses in our.
Oh yes.
So, and all hand shredded. You don't buy shredded. You got to hand shred them blocks of cheese to get them right, and it's got to be a little crispy on top.
Exactly. And my thing is, there is 364 other days that you can experiment with. You don't experiment on Thanksgiving or Christmas or birthdays. Like one of my friends, Ranish, who's been on the show too, her dad, like she always says, the one thing you don't do for her dad is like try to surprise him with a new restaurant on his birthday. On his birthday, he wants to go to his favorite spot where he can get his favorite dish. It's going to be just the way he likes it. So there's just certain times when you don't need to experiment. She has a whole 364 other days.
And that's what she was like, this is the wrong time. We don't do this. We come over this, you don't play with us. We are not your guinea pigs. And I feel you, because it's comfort food. That's really what this is. It's a comfort food holiday. It's about of not having anybody have to say, what is this?
Right, exactly.
Just put it out. I know that. I'm eating that. I expect from Auntie, I expect this. Now, the other one is yams. Are you a marshmallow or a no marshmallow when it comes to yams?
Wow, that's a good question. So I think I'm both, but in reference to Thanksgiving, we don't really have marshmallows in our yams. I even made yams a couple of Thanksgivings ago, and I'm standing by my one and only time doing it, because both of my grandmothers approved of my yam making skills. So I didn't do any marshmallows, however, if I go to like a restaurant and their yams have marshmallows, I don't mind it at all. But during our Thanksgiving, we don't really rock with the marshmallows. It's just as is. And I'm so backwards because I don't like sweet potato fries. I don't like a sweet potato baked potato, any of that. But some yams all day.
See, are you doing your yam sweet potato right? Because you got to have a cinnamon butter. You got to do a cinnamon butter. If you don't do it with a cinnamon butter, it's not the same, because it's a little drier than a normal baked potato. It's just a little bit drier. That's what I've noticed with yams.
Maybe that's the hit and miss for me, but I've definitely been one that I'm like, I don't like sweet potato fries and sweet potato baked potatoes. I'll eat sweet potato pie and I'll eat yams. There's like, for the longest, it was a running joke. I'm like, yams aren't sweet potatoes because I don't like sweet potatoes.
There is a big difference between Northern Thanksgiving and Southern Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
And, I have, like I said, born in Michigan. I have relatives up north that I've seen plenty. They don't have things, gumbo is a staple in the South for Thanksgiving. People don't do that up north. Dirty rice is a big part of our Thanksgiving at my house.
Okay.
Pickled green beans, which is a very Southern thing. It involves vinegar, sugar, allspice, stuff like that. And
Okay.
my wife, who's from Honduras, had never had it until my mother made it for her, and now she's in love with it. And so, like, the South is just different when it comes to Thanksgiving. I think the South is much broader in what it defines Thanksgiving as, because I think in the South we look at it as it's like a potluck almost. You know what I mean? Like, bring everything.
Yes.
Bring everything. In the North, it's much more traditional.
Yeah.
Stuff. We have the turkey in the middle, then we put the things around the side, and that ain't for me. I prefer Southern Thanksgiving to Northern any year.
Oh yeah, because Southern, like you said, it's more like a potluck. So when you say Southern, that's not even one thing; it's a variety. Because, like you mentioned, the gumbo. My friend I was talking about earlier, Ranisha, she's an honorary Louisianimal, and she swears up and down for gumbo for any and every occasion. And so I had never had gumbo for Thanksgiving, but I'm like, I'm not mad at it either.
If it's right, ain't nobody turning it down.
Exactly.
And you know, Thanksgiving is a process. There are multiple meals throughout Thanksgiving. There's the first one that you do. Y'all eat around 2:00? The first one is around.
It depends. So this year, because my grandmother, and let me say this because, you know, you never know who's watching or listening. We are all COVID tested. We live in the same proximity of the city lines. It's a safe, small environment. All right, disclaimer out the way. But yeah, this year, since my grandmother's doing most of the cooking, it's probably going to be ready at 7 a.m. But I'm not going to show up till maybe 6. So it depends. This year, like, we might do like a breakfast before we go to grandma's house, or, you know, like you said, get up around 2 and just grab a snack on the way to grandma's house. So
yeah, like you do that first meal where we sit and do the formal part, and then it's grazing throughout the rest of the night before people start making those plates to take with. And that is the fight. The plate, the portions on the plates to go is the fight.
I think it'll be easier this year because it is just a few of us in there. So I think we should be fine. I think we should be fine.
And I think a lot of people too, the benefit this year is I think there's going to be much less of a chance of simple things turning into big things on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
Because the proximity, there ain't so many people to talk about. And it's harder to say the wrong thing to your cousin or your uncle who, you know. And it's going to be a better communicative Thanksgiving.
Yes. Now you let me know if you can relate to this. In the millennial world, there's just a post going around that's saying, "What? You mean all the family can't come to Thanksgiving? So I won't be asked when I'm getting married. So I won't be asked when I'm having children. So I won't be asked what I'm doing with my life. I'm devastated."
Hey, I am a naturally antisocial person anyway. I'm an introvert in that regard. So yeah, I don't like having to do the rundowns because no matter what, it doesn't matter how old you are, when you're around your parents, you become kids again. So me, my brother, and my sister fall into line. I'm the oldest, and then it becomes who's done what, and you try to find the ways. And as you do have kids, then you start talking about your kids and trying to boost them. Like, oh, my kid did this year, and then others like, well, my kid is doing this year,
right?
And these kids didn't ask to be part of this competition, and
it's just generational passed down. Some of it is, you know, in good fun. Some of it I could do without, but you know, it's just happened. Like you said, once you're, you know, around parents or the elders in your family, you just, like you said, fall in line.
Because, you know, there's been those years when you sit with the fam and you ain't got really a bunch of good news. You know what I'm saying? Like it has been slow that year. And everybody else is like, well, I got the new job and we doing this. And you're just sitting there like, can you pass potatoes? Let's keep it moving over here.
It's during that time my journalism skills come out, where if I'm still in the room, I just flip the questions back on them. So tell me more about it. Wow. So do you like it? How long do you see yourself being at that job? Girl, you dating this?
I don't want to talk about me. Let's talk about you. I ain't seen you in so long. Let's talk about you.
Come on. Enough about me.
I just wanted to be here. I just wanted to bask in the love. That's why I'm here.
Your blessing is my blessing to see your blessing. That's where I'm
Absolutely.
at with it.
We're going to take a quick break right now because I have to do scheduled break. So we're going to take this break and we'll come back more with Valencia King and myself here on The Lunch Break on KYOK. See, I got to do it this way for now. My water.
I'm trying to work with my window.
All right, welcome back to The Lunch Break. I am with Valencia King. You can follow her on Twitter at I am Valencia King. How have you been? First, just tell folks what you've been up to.
I've been doing good. For those who don't know, as far as quarantine is concerned, my birthday is in April. So I was a part of that first batch of quarantine birthdays when we didn't really know what that was. And so my beginning of quarantine was a little bit of a downer. I was a Debbie Downer and just didn't know how to navigate, especially because, as you know, so much of my life is sports. And so when all that stopped, I was like, okay, well, who is Valencia without sports? I don't remember. I got to figure it out. So it's been a process. Around June, I started picking things up. And what I've been doing lately is a show called The Dialogue.
Yep.
And it's where I had it before, quarantine, but now we're moving to social media to stay socially distant. And it's every Tuesday night on my Instagram Live, which, like you said, is at I am Valencia King on all social media sites. And it's basically a show where I created just like a millennial talk show where no matter the topic, we're working to come up with active solutions because we just don't want to talk about it. We want to be about it. So, that's what I've been doing lately, kind of keeping everything one day at a time, giving myself grace to if some days all I do is make it to the next day, then I did okay. So if you're a creative or a business professional, you got anything going on you want to promote, definitely hit me up. Instagram DM is okay, and then I can give you my email from there. And I'd love to have you guys on the show. That's kind of been me. I'm good. I'm in the working space. I kind of got a rhythm now, David.
Yeah, and I mean that adjustment we've gone through together, and have done had to change the way we do things, and I think it's benefited both of us in that regard. I think it's made us better at what we do. We'll say this: college basketball starting today. College basketball starting today. I am doing my first broadcast this evening for Tulane women's basketball against Nicholls State on ESPN Plus. If you want to check it out, I'll be on ESPN Plus. That's right. I got it posted on my on my Twitter, on my Facebook, Instagram. But yeah, ESPN Plus, 7:00 tonight, Tulane and Nicholls State women's basketball. I am excited to see basketball in person, but I'm also still really concerned because I don't know what the real protections are going to be for these young people. Travel is much more, common for basketball. The distances are greater, and the contact is so much more intimate in basketball on a minute-to-minute basis.
Yes, it definitely is. And it's so, I don't want to say cool. I don't want to say funny. I'm just going to say it's so, what's the adjective I want to use here? It's so reinstating of the realness of our reality. I'll use those words because when you say college basketball starting today, we didn't know we were really going to get here, We didn't know if, the sports were going to, officially come back or all of them coming back. And then as far as you being there in person covering it, I'm still trying to figure out what the NBA season is going to look like. So I will be looking at you, David, to see what this part looks like. So I can get, on the front line and get your tips and tricks to how to navigate in this space because it's still a lot of, figuring it out.
It is. And, I haven't done a broadcast For television, I've done some closed circuit stuff for high schools and things since the pandemic started, but I haven't been back in an arena of any sort since March. When we had I was at the last basketball game in the state of Louisiana for high school, the state basketball championship. And since then, I haven't been inside anywhere. So it's going to be awkward for me just walking in again. You know what I mean? Just like,
yes.
Am I set up to be okay here? I started talking with my broadcast partners and we're trying to get things together, but it's still like everything keeps changing. Like the schedule for me changes constantly, whether or not we're going to have a game, whether this team is backing out. And so that's going to be the case throughout the season, as we're seeing with college football, week in and week out. And speaking of that, Nick Saban, COVID positive again.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't want to be negative and say it's going to keep happening, but outside of sports in our entire world, we're still navigating through this. And so there are studies that show some people can get COVID more than once. It's not like you get it like the chicken pox, allegedly. Once you get it, you don't get it anymore. So we don't really know all the ins and outs of this virus with Corona and COVID-19. We're still figuring out how it works. So on a worldly view, if we're still figuring it out, on a sports view, we're still figuring it out. And so, like you said, it's going to be interesting to kind of see and get a feel for it. I feel like you should record yourself as you walk into the arena. Like, okay.
I'm going IG on that. I'm definitely posting that because, I wonder how I'm going to feel. I have not done it in so long. And it's just, and this is a new platform for me too. I haven't been on ESPN before as this type of level. So I'm excited about it. It's a great opportunity, of course. And I hope I represent all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I take all the people that I've met and associated with me when I do that, because they're looking at me as that.
Right.
I can't help but be that. And if I'm sitting there, maybe there's somebody else who's saying, "Oh, I can do that too. I can be there too." So
yes. Now you stay on your side of the corner. Let me do the talking for a moment. Listen, man, of course it's an amazing opportunity, but it's an amazing opportunity for them to have you. Okay. They don't even know what they're about to be blessed with. They don't even know the eyes that are about to be seen just because you are in the room and on the screen and in the TV area. Okay. So they should be like, oh my goodness, what's happening? So any nerves, I release that from you, because they the ones that need to be like, wait, well, what do we do now? We got to get them on schedule. Okay, well, what happens next? So you stay over there. I'm going to say it for you, because they over there like, we got a plan. We didn't even know. It's unexpected.
I'm always nervous till they say go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm consistently nervous. I sit there, my stomach will rumble for 20 minutes until it say, all right, go, you're hitting the air. And then I'm fine. Yeah. Because you just don't, I always think about, don't let my first sentence stumble out of my mouth. If I get the first sentence, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's that first sentence running out of my mouth. Am I ready for it?
It's already covered. You already got it on lock, and you just have this certain, I want to say Davidness, if you will, but you just have a certain relatability. So it's definitely going to be, a refreshing sight to see. And as much as you said, it's a great opportunity, it's an even more great opportunity for them too. So
I have been excited by the feedback that I've gotten. A lot of people have said, "Oh, I'm going to watch Tulane now because you're doing it." And I think, I just want to make it fun and accessible for people and help them understand and enjoy the game. That's my goal. So it should be a great. And I love the fact that I get to do Tulane women's basketball, as well as the men, because my start, like the first groups, when I got out of Wake Forest, the first people I covered were women's basketball. When I was at Wake Forest, I coached women's basketball in the summers. And I played with our women's basketball team at practice. So I got this intimate knowledge of that game and so much more respect for it. I never disrespected, but when you have to compete against those women every day, it's much, much different. And so I enjoy, I think the way I'll present the game, hopefully as respectfully as possible. to people who may not have watched a lot of women's basketball before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already the steps are already lined. Don't ask me which scripture in the Bible, but it says that God knows the steps before you take it, and He's already been everywhere you go, and He already there waiting for you. And so, because you have that intention that you want to do this in excellence, it is already done.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support that I've gotten, and that's been the thing that has carried us all through this year so much. But to hit on that Saban thing again. This is his second positive test. The first time he said, they worked and hustled and got him a negative test so he could coach. This time they're saying he's out. My concern is if he went this long, do we not know maybe if he had it this whole time in that previous test where they gave him the negative was to get him on the field that week? Because he looked really bad. Yeah. I remember seeing him on the sidelines. He did not look healthy then. Yeah. And they were saying that he was fine. And now to come back now, I also wonder how many athletes has he gotten in contact with, because we've seen at a number of schools where they said, no, we're done with it. We were fine with COVID this summer. Our whole team had it. And you're seeing every week games getting canceled at those same schools in major conferences that told you their child was safer with them than they were anywhere else. I think the NCAA this whole season has become a farce.
Mm-hmm. So now, David, what you're getting into is you're lifting up the rug and you're getting into the stuff they tried to sweep under it. Okay. So when you think about how, like you said, how bad he looked, of course, that's going to be on, I won't say everyone's, but most concerned people's minds. Is this something that they just, like you said, tried to rush to get a negative, even if it was a false negative, just to get him back out there? And I think that's the question we have, not only with Nick, but with the whole industry. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, operations want to resume as normal as they can be, but we're not in a normal space. I don't know if we ever will be. And so to try to cut corners to just get everything to resume, because at the end of the day, it's all a business. So I definitely understand that, but it makes me also understand how people would cut corners to try to make something look as though it is not. So I would hope, I would strongly hope they didn't jeopardize and give him a false negative test. So, he could still possibly be exposing other people. One could only hope. But you just don't know. And unfortunately, it's kind of like we only know what we're told unless we try to, like as in the journalist world, see the full story, even when they're not telling you something. Because when they don't tell you something, they tell you something anyway. Mm-hmm. So in that retrospect, all I can do is just hope that it was a true negative test and that other people weren't exposed, especially if the people that were around him, team, players, what have you, organization, if they actually were under the impression that it was a true negative and they're walking around, a little bit more relaxed or more safe, they maybe don't have, masks on all the time, then they don't even know that they're also risking themselves because they're going off the pretense that it was a legit negative test. There's just so many different factors, but one can only hope.
I mean, we're not going to know a lot of the impact for 3 or 4 years down the road for these players. And we could be talking about guys who lose their careers because of this. We're talking about young men who may lose their lives. We don't know going forward what the impact could be. And it just, again, it underscores to me that the NCAA can never, ever claim that this is anything other than a for-profit business. That's what this is about. Because these kids are being treated as employees. And I had a conversation, and I hate to plug, but on my podcast yesterday, I had the great Kenny Anderson.
What? He didn't mean that. Rewind it. Bring it back. We love to plug it in there. What's the podcast name? Huh? Where can we hear it?
Yesterday on Hard to Paint, we had Kenny Anderson, played at Georgia Tech and played in the NBA, was all-star there. And he's now the head coach at Fisk University. So shout out to HBCUs and for Fisk in particular, because my grandfather got his doctorate from Fisk and my aunt got her undergrad degree from Fisk. So shout out to Kenny over there. But he talked about it too. He said, he wants to see the athletes take more control because they are getting, he was firm in it. He said they're being exploited. He said, I was exploited. He said, I could have made millions at 17 years old. I could have been making millions because I was the most famous, kid in New York. He could have had a sneaker deal at 17. He could have had all those things. And These kids are being treated as employees. They're going to be sequestered for a month during the March Madness.
Mhm.
That you don't do that to students.
Yeah.
Not when these other schools are telling kids, if you go home for Thanksgiving, don't come back. And yet we're sending these athletes out to go travel, to do all these things, and then you're going to sequester them without daily testing, without kind of stuff that you had protections for in the NBA. It just seems morally, it's a hard thing to get over.
Yeah. And honestly, this is a conversation without COVID-19 that has been going on. This has just amplified it because we have this severe health risk. And so we can keep talking about it. And it's not, let me clearly state, I do understand why student athletes just take what they're giving. I understand it. I understand the goal, the dream, the resources, what have you. I understand it. So it's kind of like, who am I to say, well, throw that all away to stand your ground? Like, I'm not providing for their life. I'm not providing for their family. So who am I to ask them to do that? But unfortunately, until something drastic happens, nothing drastic is going to change. I'm not going to expect for colleges or college organizations to suddenly care about their student athletes when it was evident they didn't care before. Like, it's not new. It's just amplified. And as unfortunate as it is, I don't see it changing until something changes.
And I think too is when we talk about these seasons and everybody says, well, it benefited the kids who had this and that and the other. Does it benefit you if you only got to play, if your team only played 5 games and the majority of them were against bottom feeders? Because we've seen it, if you're a kid at LSU, you've been spotted. If you're a kid at Alabama, you've been spotted. If you're a kid at Ohio State, they know who you are. The scouts in the NFL know. If you only played 5 games this year, how did that boost you? How does that improve your stock? You put yourself in jeopardy for the opportunity. And I mentioned this as well as all those kids who sat out this year who are not going to declare. The ones who said, I'm just sitting out because of the dangers of this. I don't feel comfortable. Well, they move up next year and they're still in their same grade class, year classification. And then they decide to go pro. If they were seniors or juniors and they decided, well, there's a whole nother wave of people that you were supposed to have left behind based on what your draft stock was before, maybe. Now you're doubling up on that. That's going to cost these young men money in that regard. So there's no real benefit. The only people who get the money out of this are the coaches, the schools, the TV networks, and eventually the bowls, who will invite anybody because there's going to be a lot of under 500 teams going bowling.
Yeah, like you said earlier, just to touch on that risk factor for only 5 games or so against the lower teams, you're risking it for an outcome you don't know. And who's to say that teams aren't going to look at those students who chose to play like, but they might have been exposed. Do we want to take the risk on their risk? And there's just so many unknown factors. So it's like, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't, so to speak. But again, I can only go back to, if they didn't care before, they're not going to care now. And I do say they generally, I know everybody's not a bad person, but it's still over the overall conglomerate.
The system doesn't care. The college sports system does not care
at all. And when I look at, just the salaries of some of these coaches,
and they act like they did a favor when professors were getting laid off, when departments are getting closed this year. And the coach says, well, I gave back $1 million of my salary of my $6 million that you're going to recoup in your bonus, or you're going to recoup in your next negotiation for your endorsement deal or your radio show or your TV show. I'm sorry, it's not a sacrifice, coach.
It's really not. Like, when you get to the root of it, it's just student athletes aren't deemed as people. They're not deemed as human beings. And it's unfortunate because we see it. I see it the most in basketball, football, because especially being in Texas, football is God. God is football. It's God, Jesus, the Holy Ghost, football. And they may take out Jesus or God for football. And I say that respectfully because I'm not a born and raised Texan by any means. Texas is just home. But when I did come here from the East Coast, that's when I got that shocker, like, oh, y'all take this seriously. Like, what? Did you even hear the sermon, or you just wanted to make sure you were there when the game came on, or out of there? Like I just
Let me tell you what it was like in my house as a kid. So we went to church. Our church service started at 11. Saints game starts at noon. Okay, so my dad had season tickets. At about 11:30 during the service, once the sermon got going, Pops would send me out first to the car, then my brother, and our clothes were in the back seat to change.
Yeah.
And then he would come. People knew. It was like we did this, 8 Sundays out of the year.
Right.
We knew what we were doing. Why is he sending us out? We should have just, but I guess it looks worse for all three of us to just raise up in the sermon and bounce.
Right.
But that's how big it is in the South. It's just, hey, I can catch church again, but this game is right now. So we got to get started with this game.
Yes. Don't get me started on church experiences in the South, man. Why side eye? Because I couldn't come for second service, but you dipped out early for the game last week. But since your team got a bye week, you gonna stay for both services. Okay. Okay.
You gotta make it up. You gotta get that double dose to make it up. But you can't go backwards.
Right.
Once you miss something, it's gone.
You can only focus on the future, right? So yeah, I hear you. It's fun times. It's funny times, because for me, it's funny because I'm on the outside of it. But yeah, Texas is there. What I was getting back to is just seeing the most in basketball and football. The students, they're not treated as people, okay? They're just not.
And they don't want to. Allowing them, and that was another thing that I got from Kenny yesterday, because this is a dude who put out his documentary in 2017, Mr. Chibbs, and he talked about his history, that he had been molested as a child, that he had suffered some other types of things. He had a battle with alcoholism. He had suffered a stroke, and all those things went on. And at the end of our conversation, I said to him, I learned something today. And he said, "What did you learn? What did you learn?" And that was really important to him. For me to answer that question. And I said, it continues to be for me about rounding out people that not just talking. I said, we could have spent this hour talking about trophies and big shots and all that. And we did some of that. About 20 minutes of our conversation was just basketball, but so much more of it to me was getting to know him as an individual and sharing his experience with other people. Because I think you're right, that dehumanization, particularly of Black athletes in football and basketball, that we view them just as these things that go out and hit and run and shoot. And then when they're done, they cease being people. They become, even then they are not people. They are these images that we are fine with, whether it's Michael Jordan or whatever we're going to do as we go forward with Kobe Bryant. It's going to be the same thing. We're not going to allow them to be people. And that's important to me, because it happens so much, in particular for Black athletes, that we are just boiled down to our abilities and not our humanity.
Yeah. Let's don't get me started, man, because it all comes down to, don't quote me, but was the first jester ever around, was it a Black person made for entertainment? I mean, don't quote me, but I might be right. And when you think about just literally, I mean, you don't have to go 400 years back, but you could if you wanted to.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just here to do a job, to, raise the kids, plant the fields, entertain here and there. Be strong.
When you come in as a commodity, unless the system changes the way you're viewed, you're always going to be a commodity. And that's what these young men and women are, in large respect, is that it's, what can I get out of you?
Yeah.
And I had one of the things we talked about as well, and I want to get your thought on this. And I hear kids say this all the time when they get scholarships, and they say, "I'm so grateful to have been offered or received this scholarship offer," or "I'm so grateful to get this." And I tell them all the time, I said, you have to change the way your mind is working here, because you shouldn't be grateful to receive anything from them. They need you. You earned it. You know what I'm saying? You practiced for 18 years. You were out there getting hit. You were out there learning this game. They need you to keep their jobs. Yes. So they should be thanking you for saying that you're going. You need to thank yourself, thank your parents, thank the people who got you to that point, but don't thank the university because they didn't give you anything. You earned that.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I think changing the mindset can change everything, honestly. But that's a deeper, darker criminal link, because when you get into the mindset of, I won't say all, but some of the Black athletes that are in these positions, you have to look at their background and where they're coming from. The mindset and that energy starts in the home. So if they don't come from a home or a foundation where they are taught to know that they are the prize, then it's not just going to be an automatic switch when they get into a new level or a new position. And that is a deeper, darker criminal link because of wherever they may have grew up in. And don't let me get into redlining. Okay. Like it may not even be their fault of where they were raised, because that is another systemic and governmental issue and concern. So if you don't know better, you can't do better, so to speak. But you have to first know that there's something better out there or something different. I remember when I came to Texas from the East Coast. Prior to that, my dad was in the military, retired disabled military veteran out the Navy. And so when we were stationed overseas, then we moved to the East Coast, then we came to Texas. And when I came to Texas in the 4th grade, and we like do introductions or whatever have you, and I started talking about living overseas in Europe, and I was in Mesquite ISD, and then having kids look at me like a unicorn because they had never been to Fort Worth from Mesquite. And to put that in perspective because KYOK is legendary, it's national, it's international. If they haven't been from A to B, which is only a 37 to 45 minute drive, but they've never been outside of their city 45 minute worth, I literally went home and was like, I can never talk about this again. And my parents had to tell me, like, no, you are supposed to be proud of where you've been and proud of your experiences, and you need to speak on it because it lets them know that there are other opportunities out there. And so that, it's a heavy lesson to learn in 4th grade. but just to kind of go back to what we were saying, you just don't know until you know.
You had a huge number of people who had never been outside of New Orleans until Hurricane Katrina forced them to. Yeah. I grew up with people. I lived on the West Bank of New Orleans. I grew up with people who had never been there who lived on the East Bank. And it's just separated by a bridge. That's it. That segregation is mental. Mm-hmm. That you're like you said, your block, your neighborhood is what you know, and that's the perimeter. It's an invisible wall around that, because what else is there for you to go to? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't have any money to be uptown. You don't have any money to be going over here. Whatever it is that I'm looking for is within this small radius. And I think that, it's so, I was fortunate and you were fortunate to have the ability to travel. And that opens the mind. But I think it's that shift, because a lot of these kids are just conditioned to think that where you are is what you deserve. And that is, again, only taught to a certain segment of the population, that where you are born should not determine the outcome of your life. And yet it does for too many of these kids, which in turn forces their parents, like you said, you put that so well, to say you are the prize. Whereas parents are taught to dangle college as the prize, taught to dangle the draft as the prize. And I tell athletes that too. Is it your dream to be a professional, or is it your dream to get drafted? Right. Because again, who does it impact the most? Black athletes being told where they have to go work. And their careers are defined by other people's decisions. If I send you to a bad organization and your career is over before it starts because I didn't put the pieces around you, then why, that disempowers the athlete, and they ain't ready for that conversation yet.
They're not. And I look at, guys like Quinn Cook or Anthony Morrow, who are professionals going undrafted during their drafting seasons. But their stories are important, because when you look at every draft, whether it's NBA, NFL, whatever the case may be, the guys and young ladies that go undrafted may not know, like you said, they may think their future is over before it starts. But if you focus on being a professional, like you said, and not just being drafted to a team, you control your own narrative. So but they don't always know that.
No.
it's just frustrating. I said flustering and frustrating. It's frustrating because, you know, you want people to know, you want them to know that they can succeed in whatever it is they're trying to do. And if that's not working, they can pivot and still be successful. You want them to know that they are the prize. You want them to know that they can do, you know, A, B, and Z and all the letters. But that mindset, man. What you think is what you become, man.
And it's an incredible shift that's going to have to take place. But I think part of it comes too is going all the way through the high school and starting all the way youth leagues.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, and you've seen it in Florida, you've seen it in Texas, you see people betting on youth league games.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're putting big money on 8-year-olds playing football. So what are you telling them right then? And what are we saying to them that when you say this is the path, when there are many routes to the same destination? And to me, the ultimate destination, even if you want to be a professional athlete, even if you want to be us, whatever it is that you're trying to be, the ultimate destination for me is happiness.
Yeah.
Because none of this lasts. Yeah. There's only so many years that somebody's going to want to listen to me. You know what I mean? And what am I going to do when that's done? I got to be happy. And if you don't give yourself those tools, and that's what I want to see these kids do, is give themselves the tools to be happy. Because even if you get 15 years in the NFL or the NBA or whatever, you got 40, 50 more years of living to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I wish these college organizations would, you know what, let me not say that. They already know, they just don't care. But I was going to say is I wish they would understand that if they were to tweak how they handled their college athletes, it could be even greater. But they know. That's why they won't do it.
And that's why I think.
I mean, listen, 400 years ago, we weren't allowed to read because, then we would know. So,
knowledge is power, and they want to keep you. They want to make sure these kids stay as with as little knowledge as possible. And I hate to say it too, but these high school coaches are just a bigger part of it. The AAU coaches are just a bigger part of it because they're selling these kids. They're selling these kids to colleges. They're selling them to agents. They're doing all those same things, and they're not telling them the truth either. And it's a level of education that just has to get deeper and deeper on all levels to make sure that this next generation of student athletes continues to fight for their power.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I want to take a moment to talk to any student athlete out there, because I'm not oblivious that you may know the situation you're in and you may be just, trying to play the game both literally and figuratively the best way you can. So I just want to encourage you in this moment, because it was already difficult before COVID-19. So now adding that stacked on top, I can't imagine what you're going through, because I'm not a student during this period. So just trying to study right now. Can't imagine. So I just want to encourage any student athlete, just to keep your head up high. I want to encourage you to figure out one thing you're grateful for today. I want you to think about one thing you like about yourself, and I want you to speak one thing into your future. Those would be my little, positive affirmations for any college athlete out there. If you know a college athlete, give them a call, give them a text, check in on them and see how they're doing outside of whatever sport they play. Just check in on them. If you're a parent of a student athlete, salute to you. I'm not a parent, and I know parenting is already hard enough. Now you add a deadly disease on the mix. Okay, can't imagine, won't imagine. But I want to encourage any parents or legal guardians or family members in this moment too, because I understand that it's difficult times outside of everything else. So when you just add it all together, I can't imagine. So I want you all to be encouraged. I want you all to know that there are people like David and myself and AJ who want to share your stories, to want your voices to be heard. We are here for you, and we just support you. And when the change does come, we're going to be right there with you.
Yeah, don't be afraid. The main thing is don't be afraid to speak up for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
For yourself, what's best for you. The dynamic does not have to be anymore that the coach is the absolute ruler, that the athletic director is the absolute ruler. If there's something wrong, feel free to say it in a manner that's truthful and honest for you. And then at the same time, remember, you're first, and that is not selfish. It's not selfish to say I have to put my needs first, because that's why we all went to college.
Come on.
That's why we all went to college, was to figure out who the hell I was as an adult and to figure out what I wanted to do with myself. So I had to be the priority. It doesn't matter in the scope of that team. Everybody has to have their own individual goals. So don't let that thing take you from your individual, road and path, because somebody else can't determine your future. They will try to. They will absolutely try to, but you can't let them do it. But I got mad respect. Again, we just want to make sure we reiterate, and I think I'm speaking for you when I say this. I have a ton of respect for every athlete who is out there doing this, who is out there trying to do the best they can, making the decision that they think is best with their families. I just want you to stay healthy, and I want you to get to wherever it is that you want to be. Don't think that anybody's trying to knock you down by saying that we wish the risks were lessened for you. Right.
And like you said, encouraging them to use their voice. Make sure your ducks are in a row when you do, though. Okay, we don't want nobody setting yourself up for failure. All right. Okay, y'all feel me? Okay.
Are you going? What is your thought as we get into this home stretch of college football? Obviously, it's a big weekend for that. As we get to the end of the season, we're near. Does the playoff even is it how
basically the same. It's like this. If everything is still able to continue, because I'm still kind of on the fence. Like, is everything gonna shut down again? I just don't really know. I just don't know. But yeah, if everything is still proceeding and we get some playoffs and some titles and some wins and all that, okay, all right. Like you said, the health is the main thing for me, because we don't know what this COVID-19 is going to look like 3 to 4 years from now. I know the vaccine talk is very popular right now, but I don't know the side effects 3 to 4 years from now. I don't know the side effects 365 days from now. So we can talk about it, but if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about all of it. So yeah, health is the main concern. If we get into these playoffs and we get some championships, then hooray, a job well done. I'm not gonna put an asterisk by it, because, like, as I've been saying, I've never been in pandemic world before. Okay, so if you don't win your title, you win your title.
It's just gonna be so weird, though. You have no the committee put out their first rankings yesterday, and you have 5 non-Power 5 teams in the top 25. And that's the first time it's happened, I think, since we've gotten to the rankings. But I still don't see any way for those teams to make the playoffs. Like this year is going to be so much about TV revenue that they're going to not include Alabama. They're not going to not include Clemson. They're not going to not include Ohio State. No matter what happens, if Ohio State loses 2 games, they're in. They're in. You know what I'm saying? They're not. So I'm like, y'all are doing this charade. But we know you're gonna do what's best for TV.
Easily. That's why the NBA is supposed to start on the 22nd, just so we can play on Christmas. But I don't think a star will step foot on the floor on Christmas. Like, for what?
They might play on Christmas Day, but they're gonna take the next couple games off.
You think you're gonna play a full 48 on Christmas Day? You might get 7.
Oh no, LeBron ain't playing 30 full 48. LeBron will play like 30 because it's Christmas and he got he wants to show out. That'll be their first day back. You know what I mean? That'll probably be their first home game, and they won the championship. And LeBron being LeBron, he's gonna bask. You know what I'm saying? LeBron is gonna bask.
Right, LeBron being LeBron. I just think about that risk factor. It especially for the teams that were not in the bubble, just now getting their fresh legs. There were stars that were not in the bubble that we're still looking forward to seeing, but Christmas Day, I'm a watch, but I'm just not expecting to see a normal Christmas Day, obviously, because we're not in normal times. But that risk factor, like, why risk your all-out star or whoever you're depending on for a game that we 3 days into the season?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was a big proponent of the post MLK start. Is to get to the 3rd week of January. So if there's a vaccine that's viable. So you have you're on the verge of a different administration that could mean greater access to those things for people in general. And you could have a reduced cost for those things as well.
You bring up a great point, because Adam Silver already said that he's not going to have Black Lives Matter on the court this season, which
No,
we knew.
We knew that.
We knew performative measures at most, but we need to have an MLK game day session. Y'all should do that.
You know the Grizzlies got them MLK jerseys now.
Yes.
And Atlanta has MLK jerseys. And who else? And Memphis also added a Stacks jersey.
Yeah. And I know the NBA always does, you know, their whatever team is in Memphis playing them, they go to the MLK Museum and they get to tour around and talk about how important Martin Luther King was for the dream and all of that. I need more. I need a whole roster of games that day. I need everybody to have a fist on their shirt. That's probably not gonna happen, but still. I just need more. Like, you can't, well, they can do whatever they want, but you can't do all this stuff in the bubble and then try to go back like everything is all cheesy, because it's just simply not. No. It's just really not. And I know, again, it's a different case versus college athletes and professionals, because the price point is very different. No matter if you just warm up the bench or not, the price point is different. So it's like, I can't ask these professionals to demand difference making objectives, but I'm just like, y'all have the power. Y'all have all the power.
We got
literally.
I only got 2 minutes left with you. Unless you want to stay for an hour or two. If you want to hang, you can hang. If you want to hang, you can hang, because I'm having fun with you. So if you want to hang, you're more than welcome.
I'm here. I didn't know if you had a second guest for the second hour.
But if you want to hang, you want to hang?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna do the top of the hour reset, and we'll come back right at 1. So I got a commercial to play and then do the top of the hour reader, and then so we're gonna take this quick 2-minute break.
All right.
Let me get the commercials. Why is this thing not working? We had this problem yesterday with the technical stuff, so we're still working on these things.
Oh, it happens.
That it does. So this is the big thing, is that we had this issue trying to get the technical problems, because I'm not sitting in there with AJ. So
y'all need
to have the thing for me. And I'm like, well, let's bump that. I'm gonna just do the reader. Let's just do the reader, because I'm having a technical problem. So it is what it is. So I'm gonna do the reader. What it be. Yes, and we just adapt. So you are listening to KYOK AM 1140 and 92.3 FM Conroe, Houston, and on KYOKradio.org. And again, I am David Grubb, filling in for AJ Jones, and alongside with me is Valencia King. She is Valencia King. She also am Valencia King, depending on where you're looking for her.
Right.
So I wanted to go back to this real quick too, on our last topic, and we were talking about the Martin Luther King thing. It's when we do that every year. I remember when they first started playing the games, I was like, is this really the way I want to honor Martin Luther King? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of plays into an image of like, okay, it's basketball on, Black holiday, let's play basketball. Mm-hmm. And then I've always been bothered by the NBA's commercials. And I've always been bothered by the framing of MLK Day anyway, as I got, not always, but once I got aware, when I got to be around 13, 14 years old, it started making sense to me that they weren't handling this correctly.
Right.
And the NBA, they always get the black players to come and talk about the dream. Mm-hmm. And the white players come out and talk about the dream. Right. And it's like, have any of you listened to the whole speech? Have any of you listened to other Martin Luther King speeches?
Because there are many.
And I give this example from my own life. My son had an essay on Martin Luther King to write. They did it as all schools do. It was for a contest, and they were looking for the best essays. And he was getting ready to write. And I told him, I said, "You want to win?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't write about the I Have a Dream speech."
Right.
I said, "Don't write nothing about the I Have a Dream speech." I said, "Everybody up there is going to write about the I Have a Dream speech." I said, "Go look at the rest of his life and find out about the man and write about the man." And he did that instead, ended up winning the prize. And I was like, because people don't know.
Yeah.
And that's something, you're going to take Black Lives Matter off, and we've seen the NFL has already stopped acknowledging anything that has to do with race.
Listen.
And you're going to do all this, and you're going to play on MLK Day, and you're going to minimize it again. And I just feel like that's the direction that we are heading into in 2021, because it doesn't matter that Trump is out of office or whatever. That, to me, that's just cover for the owners to go back to doing business as usual.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. I would love to see more like we're saying on MLK Day, because a lot of these athletes, and not just Black, a lot of different varieties, we're very international league here. They have foundations that help their communities where they're from, or organizations, or things that they're a part of. I would love to see different commercials highlighting that, because that would show where they're from or what they're doing in the community. And that is, I mean, if you want to focus on the dream speech, that was a part of what Martin Luther King was saying, us working together and all that good stuff. So if you want to just kind of extend that, that's an easy, there's so many easy outs that would seem less performative and actually make some kind of impact. But it's obvious that they're not taken because they don't want to be. But something as simple as highlighting the guys' foundations, like, I know Amo's not in the NBA right now, but he has Amo Charities, and they just did their annual turkey drive. Lynn Robinson III, who's currently still in Philadelphia, I know trades are happening. He did his second annual turkey drive with his foundation, which is named after his daughter. And he has a whole, show where he talks to NBA players that are fathers about how they are impacting their children, even when they're, away for so long. There's so many different things that they can highlight that would celebrate a world coming together it's just so easy. It's a layup. And they're not trying to do it.
Because the conversation has stopped being about justice. And it's already moved on to reconciliation, as we saw right after the election. It went on to how can we all be cool again with each other? How can we all? And it's not over.
It's not.
It's not over. And these athletes are going to be put back in a position again, and no one is going to ask them these questions. Just like I just don't see people the reporters now feeling that obligation even. I hope a Malika Andrews is able to do it. I hope we see it from the number of Blacks who do cover the NBA. But I just don't feel like we're going to see on a regular basis anyone asking those questions, particularly of the owners, which is the group that it should be focused on, not the athletes, because they can't affect that change. It's the owners.
Yeah, I think honestly, what would happen if an individual owner still wanted to put Black Lives Matter on his court? That's something that can occur. I'm sure there's a chain of command, but all you need is one to at least say it or try to do it, and then you go from there. But Adam, I know he's the commissioner, so he kind of is end all be all, but he's not.
He works for the owners.
If change is going to be made, people have to step up even more than they have in the past. I'm not going to negate anything that has already happened. Okay, not negating here, but things still have to keep moving forward. And so I don't, like you said, I don't know if these players are going to even be asked about different injustices. And again, not trying to be a Debbie Downer.
Just being real.
I'm a little bit of a realist here. Unfortunately, there may be another hashtag that comes about during this new season. Who's going to talk about it and bring awareness to it and get justice for it, or to just, like I said, bring awareness to it? These conversations, like you said, don't end because what we as African-American people are dealing with hasn't ended. So it's, and honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing how this season is going to work with media from my perspective, because my normal access to these athletes to ask them these questions, I don't know if I'm going to have it. And so those relationships I've built, I'm going to try to keep them and maintain them, but it was so much, easier to maintain when you see each other. And so I don't know, if I email to ask a player about something, try to go through the proper channels, what am I going to get an email back that says, nah?
You are. I mean, the access has changed completely. I know for me, and I don't know what the Mavericks are doing right now, and I know you cover the Mavericks, but for me with the Pelicans, they have so much more control over the questions now. And So when we have our little media sessions, me as a more of an independent journalist, if I get one in, okay, then that's what I'm getting. Whereas in a normal scrum, you know what I mean? I'm gonna take mine. I'm gonna get what I want out of that. Or like you said, we have that option of going off to the side and pulling that player aside. Say, hey, can we talk about this for a second? Or you know, and they'll tell you if they're comfortable talking about it or not. But when you have this Zoom meeting with 20 other reporters and they're sitting there and the team has control of that on who gets to ask what, they're going to the people who are most favorable to their message. They are not looking for the people who may ask something difficult.
You guys can't see me on the radio, but I'm just fluttering my arms. I'm fluttering my arms and all this truth David is speaking right now. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah. But then, like you said, they're gonna pander and cater to the people that are going with their message, but sports isn't politics. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Because you've seen it with the NFL, we've seen it on our access. You know what I mean? We've seen it. They are limiting it so much. And the coaches have even more power now to shut you off. If they don't feel like doing it, it's Zoom. What can you do? You don't have any pressure of being right there and having them have to tell you that to your face. And you being able to speak back because they'll mute you as soon as your question's done.
Oh, yeah.
So
I would say fortunate to an extent because the relationship I built with the Mavericks organization has been good. And even with all the Zoom when the Mavs, were in the bubble, it has been good and accommodating. And they were, very open about, listen, we're all figuring this out together. All right. Okay. So we're going to figure out where's this raise your hand button. Okay, good. Y'all got it. Like, it was very, accommodating. So I will give them that credit. I just don't know how much pressure it would be for them to try to maintain that in this new area that we're in, because I know the NBA is going to have stricter guidelines. So I don't know if, like I said, or like we're talking about, if that access will still be there, because I don't know how much they have to abide by the guidelines and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just banking on the relationships that I do have built, and like we know the athletes. Specifically in the NBA, because we are African-American, they're African-American. We can do a head nod and know what it means. So I'm hoping that, if they have messages that they want to get out there, they know that, you and I and people like us are still there to help them with that. And those relationships are still there. So.
Yeah, that's going to continue to be key is how we try to find new ways to get in touch with these players to circumvent the system, because that's just what we have to do at this point. We have to go around it because the gatekeepers are strong. They are strong. And particularly in the NFL and in college.
Yeah.
With college, I mean, you see it. I mean, the deference to the coach and their ability to just say what they want and not be followed up on. The follow-up question is dead right now. It's dead.
Listen, you got to say that in the first part. Hey, 2 quick questions for you.
Yeah, you don't take a breath. Don't give a pause, because they will cut it off right as soon as you pause.
God.
You better get that comma in, not a semicolon. You better hit it with a comma and keep it going.
Exactly. And you'll hear me, as you and AJ know, I mostly talk about NBA. I've done college, I've done NFL, I've done some hockey, but I'm most familiar with the NBA. And some of that is because of, like you said, those gatekeepers. I know covering college, being followed around as if y'all didn't just give me this badge. You saw me come in. Okay, you checked.
We've all gotten the look where you're walking right through, confident as I don't know what, through the tunnel or up the stairs or whatever, and somebody who's wearing a jacket does this to you. And and if you can't see it, I'm looking you up and down. You know the look when people look you up and down to double check your credential. Are you in the right place? And you'll be standing right next to a white colleague, and ain't nobody checked nothing.
Nothing. I've personally never had it happen, because I think God knows my heart. But I've seen and heard stories of when they will just grab your badge before even addressing you. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. Oh
I
no.
really wish that would be a dream for me. That would be like,
You know, that's why God
please,
don't be like, listen, I always joke about this.
please.
I be like, this is like one of my favorite lines. I say, God don't let me have no fun. Like, I'm like, "Well, come on with it. I'm ready. But I understand why, because obviously I'm not mature. And I'm saying mature intentionally here. I'm not mature enough to handle it in a calm fashion. So that's why some of these things may not happen to me at this moment. But yeah, I've seen that happen and heard about that happening. And it's like you said, those gatekeepers, they're there right now. And someday, hopefully, the gates can just be bulldozer down. Or even better, if we create our own, you know, that we can be our own gatekeepers. And I'm sorry, who are you? I don't really see your name here. You do what again?
And that's a part of it too that has to be discussed when we talk about getting more diversity in front offices. And shout out again to the Miami Marlins for finally hiring Kim Ng for the general manager job. Like, the woman had been on double-digit interviews in baseball and had never gotten that job, though she had done every role in the dang game. And I've seen him give jobs to 28. You know, Theo Epstein, I think, was 32 when he got the Red Sox job. 32. And Kim Ng has put in the time on every level. So to see that not only in the front office, but you have to see it in the communications offices. You have to see it in the business offices. You have to see it in the scouting departments. You have to see it in the stadium personnel, in the way that they treat you. Because I guarantee you know this too. When you walk into American Airlines Arena, or I walk into a Smoothie King Center, the black ushers, the ushers, they after they've seen you a few times, that's fam almost. They will tell you things that you ain't ever asked for before, but they have to be more of a source to you than sometimes the franchise, because you're not on the list.
Yeah. Listen, don't even get me started. We give Christmas on a normal season or normal, you know, pre-COVID years, we would go out and, you know, give Christmas candies and presents to all the ushers that, you know, we rock with around the American Airlines Center. Like you said, it's family. Don't even get me started on my favorite usher in OKC in the Chesapeake Arena. Oh my goodness. It's just simply amazing. Like, the relationships that you make along the way in your journey, they do make the journey worthwhile through all the ups and downs. But you're right. There's like Oklahoma, Chesapeake Arena, the ushers there, even American Airlines Center. It's just amazing. Houston, oh my gosh, Miss Janet in Houston is the best. Like, she just be on the elevator doing word puzzles. Hey girl, what's all you need to go to? Like, it's just simply amazing. So those are the things that make the journey worthwhile throughout the ups and downs. But you're absolutely right. The ushers sometimes they do put you on the game.
Absolutely.
Get to you.
Tomorrow, are you a big Thanksgiving football person?
In the past, I was. It's so funny, like throughout high school, like I was like probably more, definitely more NFL, but I don't know if it was more than NBA, but I was definitely like all in on the NFL. Lately, the last few years, like I'll definitely watch it here and there, but it was more about the plates and then, you know, resetting my digestive so I can get more plates. Okay. And then don't even get me started on the dessert plate. Okay. And it was more about the food. I'm a foodie at heart. So, you know, the TV is going to be on whatever channel.
Well, I mean, in Dallas now, you know, I mean, both Texas teams are going to play tomorrow. The Texans playing the Detroit Lions, and then the Dallas Cowboys hosting, I forget who they're hosting right now. Who are they hosting?
Listen, I got
a good Google. Somebody got to help me. Oh, now I'm just seeing this too. The third game for Thanksgiving was Ravens Steelers. And now it's been moved to Sunday because of COVID.
Tomorrow.
So, that's going to be terrible then. That's going to be terrible. It's going to be an awful game. So you're looking at potential. You got only two now, because the third one, the Steelers-Ravens, was supposed to be the one that was going to carry today. That was now been moved to Sunday because of COVID.
Yeah.
And now, so you're stuck with Lions-Texans, and Cowboys football team. That is not a good Thanksgiving slate.
Listen, so I guess I'll be focused on my plates. Okay.
Not a winning team amongst them. Not a playoff contender in the group.
Right,
It's,
right.
I mean, well, somebody from the East is gonna go, from the NFC East is gonna go,
Somebody.
but
Any, mini, miny, mo.
that's just the war of attrition. That's who's ever not dead at the end of the season. But that's the NFL. I want to get your thought on this.
Okay, okay.
I think the ratings are going to be bad tomorrow because of these
Okay.
games. I think the ratings are going to be bad. But again, the narrative, the Masters just had its worst ratings in a very long time. NASCAR ratings are still down. College football ratings down. NFL ratings down. NBA ratings, of course, were down. The only sport that had higher ratings so far since COVID was the WNBA from a year ago. But they want to blame it all on for the NBA. They blamed it on social justice. For the NFL, they blamed it on social justice. But ain't nobody having that conversation when it comes to the PGA. Ain't nobody having that conversation when it comes to tennis. But having that conversation when it comes to these other sports that are not performing as well. And college football certainly has not had performative gestures at all, but the ratings are down. So somebody explains to me how social justice took down the NBA and the NFL, but all these other reasons that we won't talk about are affecting these other sports.
Okay, I got you. You ready? It's because they were so unsure on when the games were playing on what channels that they didn't want to accidentally give them rates at all. So they just turned off all the sports channels. So everybody else had to suffer along with it. I rest my case.
The absurdity of the argument. The absurdity of that argument. We said, of course, everything was down. People are streaming games. They're not, so those don't get counted in ratings. You had NBA games getting played at times when they ain't never been played before. You could have 4 games in one day, and I'm not watching all 4. I mean, I am, but most people are not. You know, so all those changes, and the fact that people just kind of have some emotional fatigue too, is where I'll catch that later. You know what I mean? Like I really can catch that later. And you have so many bad games and skipped games that I just think people are not as the rivalries aren't mattering as much this year. There was no buildup of emotion because you're dealing with so much. And I think that to pin it on us is our fault for talking about these things, but for nobody else is a problem.
Listen, I love how it's a social justice issue because Black people want to stay alive. It's political. It's too political. I love it here. It's just
I don't want to die. That's political.
Because I want to breathe. I just who knew? Maybe it's political because of the air population. Or pollution, population. Maybe
you are combining words today.
I'm combining all these words today. Population, that's a new one. You heard it here first. But maybe that's why it's political.
That actually works though too, because I can say our population is polluted. So population, I'm with you on it. Now you done coined something.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, that's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt right there.
But yeah, it's crazy. The narratives and the stories and the reasonings that will come up just to not talk about the actual concern and issue at hand. I used to work at a Republican radio station network. So part of my job is because I work like half of the graveyard shift too. So I would just come in to say, wow, how are they going to twist it today? Like it got to the point, well, this is pre-COVID. So now it's not really that funny, but beforehand it would be like comical. Like, how are they gonna spin this one? Because honestly, it's a gift. Okay. They never run out of stories. All right. They never run out of reasons. I don't know if you've ever seen like the infomercials where they're saying, this is not just a brown pencil. For those listening in, I'm holding up a brown pencil. This is a nectar brown with a hint of honey, and this will sharpen at an adequate rate, and you will never have a dull moment with this brown pencil. Like all these adjectives. That's how I feel when the narratives just keep being made up. It's like one circulated infomercial where they just have to keep getting adjectives and verbs and new reasons and studies show and this and that. It just never ends. And it's like, do you come up for air? Because I think you should take a break.
Another story that kind of came out today is that Tim Tebow, at the age of 33, is still chasing his minor league baseball dreams, and that the Mets are going to invite him back to camp again. At 33, he has not gotten to the bigs once. At 33, why is Tim Tebow still a thing in 2020?
Because the name and the headlines, it's still, even if he's not doing anything, people are still going to be interested in what he's not doing. He's garnered that kind of headline attention.
But what's so interesting? I just seriously, what is so interesting and compelling about Tim Tebow? I don't understand the fascination. He's not an interesting person. What has he said or done that has made him compelling as a person this far past his athletic prime?
You're asking the absolute wrong person here. I do not know. It's almost like early on in Kardashian land. I know that's entertainment, but I would be like, "What? I don't get it." Like, let me put on my Kardashian voice. I don't get it. Like, what's the
vocal fry? You got to do the.
So I don't know. I really don't know, but Tim Tebow definitely, in my opinion, I feel like that's why there's still stories about whatever he's going to be doing, because his name garnishes attention. But honestly, I'm rooting for him, because if he does that at 33, there's a running joke in our household, especially with NBA teams, especially while they were in the bubble and all the players weren't going to the bubble and they needed more people. I was like, Dad, if they call you, will you be ready? Like, you can do this, okay? All you need is a 10-day, all right? That's a little checky check, all right? We can make this happen. So I'm rooting for Tim. If Tim can do it, then maybe my dad can do it too. He played baseball back in the day. Who call him up? The man is ready. All right. An NBA, a military veteran. Okay. So if he can do that, he can do anything. My dad is available for booking. I'm his agent. All right. Ring, call me up. And we can make this happen. You know, do you need a big? He's more like a small forward now because Big's gotten bigger. You know, maybe even a little bit of a shooting guard. He's great defensive mindset. All right. Maybe a good 3-and-D guy. Whatever role you need, he can do it. Call me up.
Yeah, I'll if somebody's willing to pay me the league minimum, I'll do a PJ Tucker. I'll be 6'4" and out there in guard centers. I'll do it. I love it. I love guarding bigs. That's all I know. So yeah, somebody, if you get a COVID strike on your team and you need a 6'4" power forward, yeah, I'll do it. Do it.
Do you need an agent, David? Because I represent you too now. Okay.
Yeah, if you can find a way, you know, hey, I don't mind. I'll do it. I'll sit at the end of the bench. I can wave a mean towel.
Listen, and here's the thing. You guys are solid veteran leaders, okay? When the young players are getting all like, oh my God, we're down by 17. What are we going to do? We had to lead in the second quarter. You guys will be there solid and firm to remind them taking one play at a time, one possession at a time, all right? That's what you guys can do when you need it. You need it.
And I might hit that too. It's like, man, we're going to the club after anyway. So, hey, we could chalk this one up to an L.
Listen, the range. Okay. Listen, I've got two great guys here. All right. Athletic, veteran mindset. Okay. Good leadership skills. Okay. If also great mentors and or babysitters for the young people on your squad, call me up. All right.
6 hard fouls. I got 6 hard fouls. I ain't gonna give you them cheap ones. They ain't gonna get no and ones. If they get fouled, they're gonna get their foul.
About. Okay. I be mad at those subtle fouls and give them and ones. What are you doing?
No.
Listen, if you're tired of having players all up in your game giving silly and one fouls,
come on down. Come on down to Valencia King. She got players for you.
You're not playing, okay? Man, listen.
You give me a job, man. On the entertainment side, I have to know if you saw this.
Oh, what was it?
That allegedly on TMZ, Barack Obama has signed off on Drake playing him in a biopic. This was on TMZ. And TMZ be knowing for some reason. TMZ be knowing. But Drake as Barack Obama.
See, okay, here's my thing. Drake is a good actor. I don't know if I want to say great, but he is good. Okay, from Degrassi on up, he still acts in his video skits. I love it. I'm here for it. All right, cool. But he's also too big of a name. It's kind of like whenever I see Beyonce in a movie, love her, not mad at you, girl, do your thing. I only see Beyonce. I never see the character. I can't really get past.
She plays Beyonce in every movie.
Exactly. And again, I'm not mad at it. Do your thing, girl. All right, Houston, stand up. All right. But Drake, you know how like slender he would have to get because
and the beard is gone.
Barack has more weight now than he did for any other stage of the biopic. So is Drake doing this whole thing up until like 20 to now? Like, are we gonna make him gray like Will Smith did in the Gemini Man? And like, what are we doing here?
But he doesn't carry the look at all. The vocal tone doesn't. You know, Barack, like you said, he's a long, lean person, and there's also a calmness that Drake does not exude. You know what I'm saying? Like there's Drake. I'm not saying Drake isn't mellow, but there's a different thing that comes with age.
Oh yeah,
that I don't know if. I mean, it's Drake. Like you said, it's too big. It's a weird name to attach to the script. And
Drake,
I mean,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, we saw the movie Barack and Michelle with about the one about their first date. That was far more believable because I didn't know either one of those actors.
Yeah,
and I mean, the voices don't have to match. We learned that in the New Edition store. All these, it's not about the voice match. You don't have to do a impression, but you have to capture the essence. Yes. And that's the thing is when you're as big a personality as Drake is, I don't know how you capture someone else's essence to diminish yourself in your personality and take on someone else's. And I think that's why you see that with Beyonce is that she's so big inside. To break all that away and be somebody else is really hard to do. An actor, very much. The reason I think I've always said that Meryl Streep is the greatest American actor who ever lived is because no one can do an impression of Meryl Streep.
I mean, I haven't met nobody that can.
Have you ever seen a sketch on a comedy show? You ever seen a comedian? You've ever seen anybody do a Meryl Streep impression? No, because the woman loses herself in every role she's ever played. I have no, even Denzel, there are times when you're like, he playing Denzel. You know what I mean? Like he's being that Denzel this time. He's being angry Denzel, or he's being super cool Denzel. But there are times when it's just Denzel on the screen where you can't separate the two. And I think that's a really hard thing to do for any actor. And it would be really hard for Drake if that's going to be your first major movie that you got to carry. You're going to be Barack Obama?
Yeah. I would be interested to see the audition tape if they want to leak that, TMZ. I know y'all leak a lot of things. But also, like, I'm kind of saying the same thing as you said. Drake has his own essence. That is Drake. Like, it's maybe parallel to Barack Obama, but they're not the same. Like Barack is calm, but he does have that same subtle confidence about him. Drake can be low key and confident. He can be non-flashy Drake and just walk into the room and know I'm Drake, but it's different. It's different. They're not cut from the same cloth. And like you said, the age difference too. Now Drake he might be older than what he actually is because of how long he's been in the game, like respect to his journey. And he's definitely legendary to me, but it's different from when the years he came up and how he came up versus Barack. Now Drake can go talk to Barack and get all these stories and everything and try to learn about it. But I don't know.
No, and I'm kind of, I hate to feel like this sometimes, but we get a lot of Canadian and British Black folks playing American Black folks. And I mean, again, it's not to hate on anybody. You got to work, man. Hey, get your job. I'm not mad at Daniel Kaluuya. I'm not mad at Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm not mad at Idris Elba for getting work. I'm not mad at you for getting work, but when they play American icons, I'm waiting. I'm looking forward to seeing the Fred Hampton story, but it's kind of hard because I also think there's a difference being an American Black person than there is being a Black person anywhere else in this world.
Yeah,
it's just a different thing, and I don't know if I can convey that to somebody else what that's really like.
Yeah, and I think it's vice versa as well. I would hope that even, foreign actors, London, British, whatever have you actors, I would hope they would agree that it's different. One of my, shows that I love to watch is All American. And the lead on there, he's a London or from London actor. And within it, he plays a guy from Compton and talks just like Nipsey Hussle did. And, he has the character. I see the character. But then when he's off, when I found out he was like, wait, you don't sound the same. And so it's not that it can't be done, but like you said, it's just a different experience. So there's so much talent here. There's so much Black talent here. So when you're wanting to tell a story of Black talent here, I feel like you could find it. I know it may take time and money and businesses and movies and all that. They don't want to do it. But I mean, maybe we could for Barack. I mean, it's Barack.
Like that is a uniquely American story.
Yes.
And I don't think we would do that like for any other person. I don't think that we would do that in the reverse. If we were telling the Donald Trump story, it would have to be an American, because only an American can really understand the things that create people like Donald Trump. The things, and the same. I can't imagine folks being okay with a British person playing George Washington. You know what I mean? Like it would there would be an
opera, I tell you. Start
they don't like British people get mad when you was talking about Idris Elba, who is British, playing James Bond.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it's that serious about fictional characters, how serious you gonna be about real people? And we've seen it time and time again, just the erasure of us as real historical figures, them being transformed or sanitized for the pleasure of the broader audience.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's a misprint from TMZ. I would want to hear from Barack, like not what he says on camera, but what he says at the kitchen table of why he would choose Drake. Like, cause we know it's Barack. He gonna have a great reason on camera, and I'm like, by golly, you know what? Why didn't I think of that? But what is he saying at the kitchen table of the real reason why?
Yeah, he's like, Sasha and Malia said this would be a fantastic choice. So, we sat down, Michelle and I, and we're good for Drake.
Right. Exactly. That's literally it. That's exactly what he's gonna say. But yeah, I'd be curious to know the kitchen table reason. If that is true, hopefully TMZ just got it wrong.
If you're gonna have fun with it, I put Terrence Howard out there. Let Terrence Howard do it. And be bang. I'm president, man. 1 + 1 don't equal 2, man. 1 + 1 is 3, man.
It's gonna be count that vote. I just don't know. I don't know. But Terrence would easily give his all.
He absolutely would. Terrence Howard absolutely would. It would be, oh man. Come on back home, man. Come on, skinny man. Come on back home, man. You got 1 million of them left in you, skinny man.
I love it. I absolutely
love that dude.
I better be president, Mike.
We're gonna run for office, man. We're gonna get that nomination, baby.
And then out of nowhere, Taraji P got to make an appearance.
She gonna be Michelle and give it that little extra snap to it. Give it that extra snap for Michelle.
Wow. Would we even call it the Barack biopic, or would we call it Cookie and Lucius Takes the Presidency? Or is this sounding more and more Tyler Perry-ish as the minute goes on?
Oh my goodness! Why did I become president? Why did I become president? What else?
Like you see the vision. You see the vision.
Tyler Perry presents Why Did I Become President? Oh man, the gospel stage play.
But listen,
your arms are too short to box with the Senate.
Wait, now I need a parody.
If Medea shows up in the Barack Obama story and says, "I voted for you. I voted for you,"
and then we gotta have Sasha and them break out in song if we're gonna do it. We gotta,
they have to sing a song. They'd have to sing a song. So that'd probably be like Kayla Pratt playing Sasha or something. We casted this. This is becoming a TV movie of the week now, though. We gotta bring it into movie.
I'm currently in the midst of watching the one-on-one episodes on Netflix right now. So you see Kyla Pratt, and I'm just like, I love her, but she can do it. By golly, she can do it.
You see it everywhere.
And if not her, both of her daughters are like secretly her clones, so they play the sisters from early on. Even though the sisters don't look exactly alike, but we can make it work.
Let me make it work.
At this point, we're just creating stuff.
Yes. So let's kind of play off of that, because now, are there Thanksgiving shows or specials that you really enjoy at this time of year? Are there certain things that are like in my house? Thanksgiving meant we were going to probably watch The Wizard of Oz that weekend, because it usually comes on TNT or something, and so The Wizard of Oz comes on. And that is my opportunity to tell people why that movie is really it's all about the Scarecrow. It has nothing to do with Dorothy. That movie is really about the Scarecrow.
I can see that. People argue you on that?
Yeah. Wow. I said that movie is really about the Scarecrow. Why is so much focus on the Scarecrow? You notice that? Who's the witch throw her flames at? She don't throw flames at the Tin Man. She don't do nothing to the lion. She try to burn the Scarecrow. You know what I'm saying? The Scarecrow is the one who comes up with all the ideas. The Scarecrow is the one that she says, I'm going to miss you most of all. Why she miss the Scarecrow so much? She only met him 10 minutes before she met the rest of them. Why is so much about the Scarecrow? The Scarecrow's left in charge when she leaves. So it's like, why is it so much about the Scarecrow? The Scarecrow runs the show.
I'm not surprised because people will argue anything, but that's a good case. Like, it's not that hard to see that to me. To me, it's like Dorothy is the car, the vehicle to get them places, but the Scarecrow is driving.
Yep.
So
the Scarecrow's in charge. He's always the one. When something goes down, it's the Scarecrow who jumps in front of stuff. It's the Scarecrow who says, stop being scared of stuff. We going into the castle, Tin Man shaking, Lion is shaking. Scarecrow's like, come on, we got this. Scarecrow is always in the mix. Always in the mix.
Is the Scarecrow the black man doing all the work, but the white woman get the credit? I mean, I just
he's the brownest.
He's the brownest. I'm just kidding. But no, we don't have any movies that we, typically watch around the holidays. But that's a good idea. I don't think I could get all of us to watch the same movie. My grandmother likes, both my grandmothers like soap operas.
Don't change my story. Don't change my
like the stories, honey. Gotta watch my stories. My mom's mom, she likes, the cowboys and westerns. My aunt loves Ratchet TV. My uncle was all football. My dad, football. My mom would probably want to watch The Color Purple.
That's a hard movie to be watching on Thanksgiving.
Who are you telling?
Are you trying to bring the room down real?
That's her favorite movie. And I understand why, the script writing, the storyline, the acting. I get all of that. But I'm not.
That's a movie you got to be in the mood for.
She gotta be just yell down. But hey, Mom, I know you're watching. But yeah, not for me. If I had to choose, I'm watching something funny. And honestly, I was just telling my mom this yesterday. The Lion King was on, and I watched the last 30 minutes. So amazing. The original, the OG. But outside of that, I would watch something funny like Malibu's Most Wanted. And so for the longest, see that face right there, for the longest growing up, that's like my favorite movie. It still is to this day. But growing up, I was always like, the outcast because I swore by that movie. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that I'm not alone.
No, it's a cult thing for a lot of people. That movie.
I didn't know I had a tribe, and I've only recently found them. But for so many years, David, I thought it was just me. But I'm not alone, okay?
Shirley, we ain't disregarding The Color Purple. We ain't disregarding The Color Purple. I'm just saying it's a hard movie to watch on Thanksgiving. Like when you're in a good mood, you got to be in a certain mind place to watch The Color Purple. Same, like if I'm watching Malcolm X, I have to be in a certain place. If I see Glory, I got to be in a certain place to make it through that emotionally. Like, you know what I mean? Like to go through that whole thing emotionally, even if there's a release at the end. Like Antoine Fisher does that to me. Okay. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It makes me cry every time I watch it. The scene where he goes in, and it's not Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? But it has that feel when he meets his family and it's dead silent, and the great grandmother or whomever beckons at him with those arthritic hands that, you know, that we've all seen from our elders, and just says, welcome. That's the only thing she says. And every time I just got goosebumps saying it. That moment I become a baby and the tears come down my eye. I can't watch that unless I am prepared to go through that. You know what I mean?
I do. I understand so much so, follow me here, that for me, it's the Lion King, man. Every time Mufasa has to die, I just can't take it.
Killing black fathers, man. Taking black fathers out the home, man. Taking black fathers out the home.
I know, and it be your own people.
And then what happens? Simba starts off as a black child and ends up as Matthew Broderick. You see how that happens? Start off as Jason Weaver, end up as Matthew Broderick. The brother loses his identity hanging out in the forest with Timon and Pumbaa. It's deep. It's deeper than you understand, Valencia.
Listen, I feel you. I honestly, I'm not going to blame Timon and Pumbaa because he was lost when he found them. Timon and Pumbaa kind of helped him get back and realize, and listen, if you really about this life, you got to eat these bugs. And he was like,
ain't eating no bugs. Ain't no brother. That brother came from lion country. He was eating meat. He was eating good stuff. Now you trying to he would have eaten Pumbaa and it would have been a day because that's a dang warthog and that's delicious meat. He would have had some bacon. He had some neck bones, fat back. He would have been straight. So they took his identity from him.
Yep. And he did. See, when you get to the root of it, it teaches you about the friends in your circle. Okay, because Timon and Pumbaa could have not even wanted to mess with him. They could have been like, "What? You're outcasted from your kingdom? Well, we don't want you either." But they welcomed him in. They showed him their community. They befriended him in the time of need, and he was able to find a little bit of himself more and more. And it also goes to show you how you don't know the role in your life of other people and vice versa. Because Rafiki, the monkey baboon guy, he just came in left field with all them gems dropping, and then Simba's like, "Oh wow!"
Rafiki does it for the culture. Rafiki does it for the culture. That's the dude holding it down for the culture. You know what I'm saying? And then Nala got a head roll at one of the points in the movie. Remember, Nala get that little neck roll going at one point.
Yeah,
keeping it real. She told him too, you got to come home and get down. And the things ain't going right. You got to bring your behind back over here and settle this.
I literally just said this on the dialogue last night. Go to my IG at I am Valencia King. We talked about it because you need people in your life that are going to check your blind spots. And that was Nala. Simba couldn't see. And she was like, well, let me tell you what I'm seeing, okay? Because clearly you can't see, all right? What you need to do is, and so on and so forth. And you need people that will not just be your yes men and yes women. It will be like, no, that's not good. We need to redirect and pivot. So there's so many gems.
But there's more layers. You got to dig deeper. Because the hyenas, let's talk about the outcast hyenas, right? Hyenas doing their job. That's what they do. They're scavengers. That's what they do. Yep. The hyenas are what? Black and Latino.
Yep. The black and brown people. And they
exiled for no reason other than doing what they do.
Yep. And they were led astray by the wrong leader. And they later find out, spoiler alert, but it's been out for like 30 years. They later see that their leader didn't even protect them. And so then they have to stand up for themselves against their false leader. Let's not get into false prophets. Oh my gosh.
It's deep. The levels is deep.
It's deep. It's deep. Deep, man.
Like we need Martin Lawrence and Boomerang deep. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. People laugh at me because I would really try to have these conversations, but don't even. Pocahontas is like, I love Lion King more, but Pocahontas, literally, her dad told her, "We don't trust white men." I'm not saying that
one song in that movie. When they go savages. I remember seeing that in the theater and walking out and singing it, and my friends be like, "Why are you singing that song?" I was like, "Man, that shit."
That
hit home. That hit home, yeah.
That is amazing. Like when you just think about it, just think about the lessons. There's so many lessons. Look, my producer here brought these in here. Lion King and Lion King 1.5, and Lion King 2 is somewhere around here because the references, okay, the importance, okay, it's literally the circle of life. Because when you think about it, they didn't have to do a 1.5, but this showcases the importance of the support group and their story and why they were able to support Simba. They were able to support Simba because they were secure in themselves. If your friends don't support you because they're insecure about what they're doing, you don't need those friends, okay? Your friends should not be afraid to lift you up and support you, whether you good, bad, or indifferent, okay? Listen, we can talk about this all day.
It's a thesis. We dropping a thesis.
Come on.
So we have to count Boomerang as a Thanksgiving movie, right? We have to count it because it has the greatest Thanksgiving scene of any movie ever, right? What's a better Thanksgiving scene than that?
Let me know if you have one.
Because I don't know one that's better than that. You ain't gonna get the bang, bang, bang. Hey. You ain't gonna do no better than bang, bang, bang. That's the number one.
At all.
The worst.
Oh, okay. Producer's letting me know. Okay, thank you. I didn't think about these, but the Rush Hour, the trilogy, that's good for Thanksgiving, and anything with Bruce Lee and them is gonna be good on my dad's list for Thanksgiving.
True,
but also layers, because we don't want to talk about Bruce Lee and all his shenanigans. Okay, layers.
Now the worst is Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness, why is that still around?
Because Franklin, my man Franklin, first of all, I don't even understand. Franklin ain't in the whole thing until it's time to eat. And I cannot imagine a situation where a young brother first, his family ain't gonna let him leave their house on Thanksgiving. He ain't going nowhere. They got too many relatives over by. Mm-hmm. And then he gotta sit. He's the only one sitting on the side of the table by himself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everybody else got somebody to sit next to. They put Franklin on the other side, and they eating popcorn and stuff. Hey, he ain't staying for that. Why Franklin got to do that, man?
It's just ridiculous because, and I knew as a child there was a reason I didn't attach to it, and then when I got older, I was like, oh, this is why. Like, I probably still haven't seen the whole thing.
I don't even think Franklin has dialogue. I don't think he says a single word. He just shows up as if he's a lost child.
Was he in the kitchen cooking? Is that what y'all trying to say? Like, what y'all? And it was an intentional move. Like, they got to the end of the story, they were like, oh wait, this is gonna look bad. All right, Adam in. So yeah, and I think don't quote me, but I think there's a revised version for 2020 purposes, and maybe it was like a couple years ago to be more politically correct. But still, just know.
Are you doing Black Friday?
I am Black Friday. I'm black on every Friday. What about you?
Yeah, it's black every day. It's black every day.
What I have been doing is we did a special edition of the dialogue where I had people come on and promote their businesses or if they had Black Friday sales and what they have going. So that's kind of what I've been doing to support other people that are doing Black Friday sales. For me, as for me in my house, I think I got everything. I know my dad is going to look for a TV for the game room. And I think we might be getting a new desktop computer because ours is from like 2009, maybe 2010. So way better. Thanks, Mom. But yeah, we're a few years old in the computer area. So I think we might be looking at that and a TV. You're right. Okay, you can just speak up now. You're talking.
Yeah, you can just come on, sit up, get on the screen, and you drop it in. Just come on in. Get in there, have a seat.
That's producer, aka Mrs. SWK, Miss Shirley Walker King, aka Mom. But yeah, she's over here handing me all of these. The Lion King 2. Wait,
I gotta throw. Two other Thanksgiving things that we forgot.
What's that?
She's gotta have it.
Ooh.
The infamous Thanksgiving scene, both in the TV show and in the film, the original film.
Yeah.
Which is one of the strangest Thanksgivings that I've ever come across on film. Because that's another one of them things where I'm like, that would never, ever happen in real life.
Literally never happen. And what's so funny to me is because I sat through the Netflix edition of it. And I was low-key done with it after episode 2, but I was like, I'm invested now.
Yeah, so you had to see it through.
Yeah, it was whenever I would go to work. I can say it because I'm not there no more. I would just watch She's Gotta Have It. Because there were a lot of increments in my break in my work day. And I was just like, we just gotta tough this out and finish it. And that scene is so bananas. I'm just like, who, what? How?
They danced in the Raspberry Beret together. No. and you gonna bring it on me? Like I didn't know. I know you dating other dudes, but you gonna spring this on me when I show up. Hey, all the dudes are here, and I'm breaking up with all of you. Wait, whoa, this is Thanksgiving,
right?
That's what this is. Okay,
that's a big risk. Like she trusted their demeanors and their personalities not to clash. She trusted her own safety with men who technically she really didn't know.
You get 3 drunk dudes on Thanksgiving and you tell them some news like that. It went a lot. They ain't breaking out in a dance number.
No,
you ain't gonna put on Raspberry Red. Look, I love that song. I know the dance to it. I know I can do the whole video if I wanted to.
Right.
But you ain't playing that after you break up with me.
No, not at all. It's just not fathomable. It's just not. But that's what kind of to me makes it super comical because I was watching it. Like I'm literally watching it like, am I watching what I'm watching? I can't be watching what I'm watching. This must be a blooper. This must be a bonus scene. This must be something else.
And they didn't treat it as a dream. It was actually happening in the plot. And
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Okay. And then the last one is one of my absolute favorites, though.
Okay.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
John Candy, Steve Martin. If you have not seen that movie,
you
must see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It is one of the. It works.
Break it down. Why is it a Thanksgiving perfect movie?
Because the whole purpose of it is Steve Martin's character is a businessman and he's trying to get home for Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
And he meets John Candy on his first flight, and the flight gets canceled, it gets diverted, and they go through all these things trying to get to their homes.
Oh.
And ultimately you find out a lot about John Candy's character that you didn't know. And it's one of those things at the end of it is just so it'll melt you. But it's also insanely funny because it was written by Christopher Columbus, who did the Home Alone movies too. But so this one makes John Hughes wrote Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. That's who it was. To The Breakfast Club and all those movies.
Okay.
But yeah, that one right there, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Trust me, if you watch it, you will absolutely love it. Love it.
I'm a list. So I'm gonna listen. I'm prepared for another lockdown, people. Okay, so I got time to watch some movies.
And I got one more recommendation for everybody. It ain't Thanksgiving related, but it's very 2020 related.
Okay.
It is very 2020 related, and it came out a long time ago. And I just introduced it to Angie Thomas, the writer who wrote The Hate U Give.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's a big Pelicans fan, and we talk all the time. And I had her on the pod once, and she's just fantastic. But there was something on HBO back in the day called Cosmic Slop, and it was produced by George Clinton. And if you watch that, the first scene is about aliens coming from space and asking America that if you give us all your black people, we'll clean up your environment. We're going to give you all these riches and all these things. And the process of America making the decision is just Robert Guillaume is in it. Like there's just a lot of actors that you would recognize. John Witherspoon is in it, I think. It's just Cosmic Slop. You have to look for it on YouTube. I might just send you the link on your text, but Cosmic Slop.
I'm prepared for it.
It's very 2020. It is very 2020. It will hit you in a way that it's comedy, but it hits you in a way that like, yeah, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
It's so real.
I'm invested.
That's going to do it for our time. I'm so glad you joined me because it has been too long since we actually got to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we got to do this.
Same. And anytime I can break down Lion King and you broke down the Wizard of Oz and the Wiz for me, I'm here.
Next time you have me on your pod, or if I have you on, next time I have you on mine, I will give you my breakdown of why Mr. Rogers is a drug dealer. That's a tease for you right there.
Okay, I love it.
All the evidence. I got all the
receipts. I'm here for it.
So take that into Thanksgiving and then holler at me and we'll talk about that on the other side.
I love it.
So let me wrap it up for my friend AJ Jones, who couldn't be here today, of course, and for my great guest and friend and colleague, Valencia King. I hope y'all have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Please take every precaution necessary, even if you're going to be with your loved ones. And as Valencia said earlier, check on those folks who are home alone right now, whether it's people who have to work on Thanksgiving. I've been in that situation. I know you've been in that situation where you've been in the studio or whatever. It's people who are working, people who are alone, people who just need to check in. Just give them 10 minutes, of your time, because there's time to holler at those people. And I think we really need it this year, that connection with the people that we love, the people who you think are the strongest right now. This is the time of the year where they get much weaker. This is when depression hits. This is when things get hard. So please check on your loved ones on Thanksgiving.
Absolute. Let's do it.
So this has been the lunch break here on KYOK, the world famous KYOK. Thank y'all for listening. And AJ will be back next week. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace out.